Okay, so I just finished episode 2 of season 2 of Severance, and I just want to talk about three main things. So I'm going to try to make this as quick as I can. So the first thing, all right, so we see Mr. Milchick, go to the homes of Irv and Dylan to fire them because of the whole innies being on the outside world incident. And so when I was watching Milchick fire Dylan, and he's saying, there was a violent incident at work and you were the aggressor and we have to fire you, Dylan has no choice but to believe it because he is severed and he literally has no idea what happens when he is at work. And I was thinking, like, what it made me think of, and I think this is what it's intended to make you think of, is just some evil company, like, for example, Amazon, that would just force all of its employees to be severed. Because if all of your employees are severed, you can fire them at any point for any reason, and you can tell them anything about what they've done, true or not. They would have to believe it, and their only recourse would be to sue you for wrongful termination and get footage of them at work in discovery. Discovery is what it sounds like. It's the phase of a litigation where the person that you're suing, or if you're being sued, you receive documents from that person or that company to provide you information related to what the subject matter of the lawsuit is. That's discovery. So that would be your only recourse. That's the only way you would know what happens at your job. So that's what that discussion made me think of. Okay, so I'm not sure that this photo is from this scene, but it looked like it might be, so that's why I decided to use it for this. So then you have Milchick trying to convince Mark to come back to work. And he's basically saying, we can give you a 20% increase in your salary. We can, basically do whatever it takes to make you feel comfortable there. We can have, an outside source evaluate, what's going on, all these different things. And one thing that Milchick says to Mark is that, listen, I know your innie, and your innie is happy. Your innie doesn't have any of the pain that I see, in you now. And me as a person who is an expert on grief, who has lost several family members, Mark's innie does not feel pain because he literally just discovered that he even had a wife, right? So he doesn't feel pain because he doesn't know that the person that he lost exists until recently. And for me, as a grieving person, as somebody that's lost people, my reaction to that is I could be severed and work at Lumen and have an innie, and I would never know that my grandmother died, never know that my uncle died, never know that my grandfather died. But I would actually rather deal with the fact that they're no longer alive and have their memory than exchange those memories for not having the pain that comes with missing them. And so that was kind of an interesting, I guess, as Oprah would say, an aha moment for me to say, even as horrific as it is to lose close loved ones, I would rather at least know that they existed than be happy because I don't. So that was not something I expected to learn watching this episode. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then lastly, we have Helena. Helena's the outie, Helly is the innie. So I watched, kind of like the behind the scenes clip that they tack on to the end of the episode. And Dan Erickson was talking about how Helena sees Innies as subhuman, which is wild to me because it's like, it's just another part. It's just an aspect of who you are. It's not a completely different human being. So I think that's weird. But he was basically saying, Helena doesn't really have a lot of freedom in her life. She has to be very restricted, very filtered. And then she's watching her Innie be loved and be accepted and be respected and not have to have those filters. And so her Innie actually has a fuller life than she has. And something about that dynamic and the way that he explained it very much gave Master's wife looking at somebody that is enslaved. And I said in my first video, which you can find on my YouTube page, I said, by my first video, I mean my video reacting to the premiere of season 2 of Severance. But what I said is that my theory is that Dan Erickson and Ben Stiller have to have studied like plantation life in the antebellum South, because so much of this show just very much gives me a plantation setup. Like Milchick is literally an overseer, which, by the way, Tremel Tillman is a brilliant actor. He is incredible in this role. And he's incredible, being somebody, when he's inside of Lumen, he has all this power. But then when he has to go and get these people to come back to Lumen, he's now in kind of this like hospitality role. And he can't come off in the same manner as he does when he's interacting with the Innies. So I thought that was really cool. But Helena being jealous of someone that she perceives as inhuman and realizing that they actually have a very full life just very much gives Master's wife to me. So, yeah. But let me know your thoughts, your theories. I know that the theory is out there that now Helena is actually unsevered. And so when she is at Lumen as a worker, that she's a spy. I can see that. I can understand why people think that. I'm just not completely convinced of it yet. And I actually thought the final scene of this episode was going to be them revealing it, but they actually didn't. So we'll see. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments.